Welcome back to Aspire Higher with Charles and Yvana Bailey. Of course, I am Coach Charles.
And I'm Yvana.
We are so glad to have you back joining for another episode. We've been hearing some feedback already. Thank you for our friends and our family and our connections in the sports world, NFL. Yes. Sante, shouting you out, my man, for the love and support. Coach OJ, we appreciate you guys. But hopefully, if you're here for the first time, you're excited to hear some of the things we're going to discuss because we really want to focus this podcast on helping you to aspire higher. And that's in whatever avenue, or whatever field, dream, or endeavor that you choose to pursue. So in the last couple of weeks, we've been talking a lot about purpose, and you're going to hear that intertwined in a lot of what we're talking about. But we have a really good one today because we're going to ask people directly, if someone were to ask you what your purpose was, how would you know you were in it? So before we get into our conversation, we always like to ask you, please do us a favor. If you're listening to this, drive safely. Of course, when you stop, do like and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share, and tell your friends about what this podcast means to you and if it's adding any value. And we'd also invite you to join the conversations. Please, if you are someone who has a point to make, or you have something you want to change, or you want to shift, or you want to say in conversation, please add in the chats, and we would love to open up that dialogue with you as well. All right, so without further ado, babe, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
You always look amazing. This chick, I'm telling you, is banging all the time. Oh, it's ridiculous. You designed that all by yourself. Talk about yourself. Go ahead, girl.
I love color. I love living life vibrantly. So I just put together a little pink, a little melon, and added some melanin.
Melanin.
See?
That's a good one. I see what you did there. So
Thanks.
We have dad jokes, but do we have mom jokes? Is that what that is?
Absolutely not. That was not a mom joke.
Close.
It was
melanin.
a normal.
Okay.
No, we're good.
All right.
Moving on.
All right. So to you guys listening, we're going to read just really quick. This is something you could find in our book. If you don't remember, the book that we've written is called The Flight of Your Life, The Power of Propulsion. And in it, it will challenge you to see beyond where you are, to push you out of a life of compulsion into propulsion. Because you have power, you have incredible skills, gifts, talents, and abilities that are meant to accelerate your life, your business, or your sport. So without that, I guess I wanted to read really quickly. There's a point we make in the chapter here. It says, based upon the previous discussion of passion and purpose, if we were to ask you, how would you know that you reached your purpose? Would your answer be superficial? Would your answer be based on a moment or a mission? Because that is a loaded question with purpose, on purpose.
Yes.
If I had to ask you personally, before we address our audience, if you were to ask or be asked if you were in your purpose, would you answer it based off a moment or a mission?
Now, my mission. I used to define my purpose based on, it was really positional in a sense. So if I was in a good position, I would feel like, wow, I'm in my purpose. If I felt like I was being pushed to something greater, I would say, wow, this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. But I noticed over the course of life that purpose it's there as an anchor, and everything else seems like it's fleeting. So when I was no longer an athlete, I was like, okay, what's my purpose? When I was no longer working as a COO of a fashion company, what's my purpose? But my purpose was always crying out to me for more. And it always kind of grounded and made me feel more stable in who I am, And so it's really who you are, not the extrinsic factors of life.
Yeah, who you are. Right. And I think a lot of us get caught in that trap too.
Oh my goodness.
Because we'll see the things that we're acquiring.
Right.
Or sometimes we'll see the moves that we're making.
Yeah.
And we assume that it's our purpose. But I used to say there are a lot of people right now who are successful living other people's dreams.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who are very successful,
of course,
in something that they're passionate about,
right,
but it's not their purpose.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. And we have countless stories of clients that go through that from the athletic world into the business world. And one of the hardest things is stripping someone of that. It's almost like an identity attachment.
It's a misplaced identity.
It's a misplaced identity. And that's one of the hardest things to strip people of, because they've attached themselves to it for so long, so many years. And as a culture, I don't know if people do a good job of separating that from them,
Sure.
you know?
It's very difficult because we're all crying for meaning.
Right,
And we
right,
want to find meaning, not just in our existence, but a
right.
lot of times in what we do. The
Yes.
saddest part is we live in a culture that really applauds us when the things that we have creates meaning in their vision or perspective
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
So I always laugh at how people will value the opinion of someone who might have $1 million, but their opinion is trash. Now, I'm not saying that not everyone is entitled to an opinion.
Right.
I'm saying that the life that they lead versus the money that reflects their lifestyle, it doesn't always match.
Right.
And it
right.
may not follow suit with the life that you were called to live.
That's
But,
true.
again, I don't want to insult anyone, but I think everyone understands exactly what I'm trying to say when I say that.
Right, right. I think that there's a lot in this category of purpose. And it's interesting how you can serve in, let's say you're serving in a corporation, in an entity for a long period of time. And you might think because you're doing a good work,
Right.
that's your purpose.
That's your purpose.
An athlete too. I'm doing a good work. I'm getting notoriety. I'm getting fame. I'm getting applause. And so sometimes we have to stop looking at our purpose so shallow. I think that's a really
great
shallow way of looking
saying
at
it.
purpose,
Yes.
because purpose is like a well. You don't know how deep it goes. You just know
Yes.
it's sufficient. You know that it can supply. You know that it doesn't really run out, you know? So I want you, especially being a coach in many different levels, professional, amateur, you have so much experience with athletes.
Yes.
How have you seen their identity suffer when they lock into their purpose?
Man, I've seen people suffer because they define their purpose, like you said, through their athletic accomplishments, since you asked specifically about athletes. And this is very, very pertinent to our professional athletes who are watching and listening, or who coach athletes and maybe wanting to use this to help them as well. A lot of times there are athletes who sign that contract. For instance, we have athletes and no athletes that sign major deals with major shoe companies.
Absolutely.
And what I've always seen is, and even with professional athletes today, athletes in college signing these NIL deals.
Yes.
What happens is they start seeing their purpose as a box.
Right.
They start to see the contract as the construct of who they are. When in fact, it's really just a means to accelerate their purpose.
Come on.
Problem is that they've never truly identified their purpose before they got the platform.
Wow.
It's just a means to communicate who you are and all that is in you. And if you don't have that early, then you start getting into the traps of who am I?
That's right.
We talk about in our book, it goes from being a secure I am to asking the question, am I?
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
when you have an athlete that is in a position that they've been given the money, or you have someone who got this dream job, so to speak.
Come on, talk about business.
They're not actually fulfilling their purpose unless they have defined what their purpose was before they got the position.
Right. That's right.
And I think that's what we're really trying to say. And now I understand not all jobs can allow a person to, in their mind, fulfill their purpose.
Correct.
But if they were to really change their perspective, then they can start inserting their purpose into their job.
Come on.
I think about mailmen and post office people. Again, I know I'm taking it to a lower level, not that their job is any less sufficient, but I think about some of the stories you hear of mailmen who, the children are so excited to see this mail person that they run outside and celebrate them. And the mail person gets out of his vehicle and hugs them and dances with them. And the children look forward to seeing this person all the time.
Right.
It's because that person has identified their purpose is to bring joy, not just bring gifts.
That's right.
It's to bring a smile or to breathe life into a family. Because sometimes that mail person may not realize that every letter that they carry, every package that they have could be the life-saving thing that a family's been waiting on.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you deliver things with the right heart, a right mind, a right attitude, you're giving a lot more than something physical.
Absolutely.
Because
100%.
there's a predefined purpose.
That's
so
right.
That's what I've seen though, and I answered that a little broad, but that's the point.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. We were talking with someone in Delta Airlines that she was a flight stewardess and she found and knew her purpose. And as we shared
I remember
our
this
book with her and she purchased the book, she had an understanding of
she was clear.
Whether I am flying or I'm not flying, I know who I am.
And I know my purpose for why I do this.
That's right. That's right. And what did she tell you?
Yeah, she shared with us that for her, in fact, she had it in writing. And that's why I always tell people too, it's not something that's just in the imaginative mind.
Right.
It has to be something that is put out completely in a sense where you can visibly see it. You can be able to say it, you can be able to
Yes.
write it, you're clear on it, concise on
Absolutely.
it. But she said that whether it's that mom who's having trouble with the fussy child, who just needs a nap, whether it's the older elderly person who really needs to know that they're visible and they're seen and someone cares.
Yeah.
For all these little things that many people ignore and things that go unnoticed, that is my purpose.
I love it. I love
She
it.
said, I do this because I love making people feel that, and I choose every day, no matter what my day is going like, to make sure I give that to someone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so deep.
Yes.
It's so deep.
Yes.
Just hearing it now even makes it more real, you
Yeah.
know? Because there's no box that she put herself in.
Yes.
And I think sometimes with purpose, we go through, I haven't heard of this before, but I'm going to make it up. Purpose crisis. Purpose crisis. Because we have worked in ministry, we have worked outside of ministry, we've worked a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, sometimes we can lock in on our purpose and feel like because you're serving a cause,
Yeah.
because you're serving an organization,
Oh,
a ministry,
man, you're talking
this
deep.
is my purpose.
Right.
Why do you think that can cause extreme limitations?
It can cause extreme limitation because a lot of people are succeeding also in the areas of other people's dreams.
Ooh.
Whoa. There are a lot of people who find their purpose in someone else's established purpose.
Wow.
And unfortunately, it's not a problem because our purpose may be to serve.
Right.
But that then may mean that the role we serve may change. And so what happens is people struggle also because they've attached themselves to a role as opposed to the responsibility they have to serve it in whatever capacity they're in.
Wow.
Meaning somebody who may have been serving in capacity A or in job A starts becoming dissatisfied when let's say an employer, or let's just say that it's time for them to progress on from what they're doing.
Right.
They can't let it go.
Right.
Because the position has become in their mind the purpose.
Right.
And it was always just a vehicle of their purpose.
That's right.
The reason why they succeeded in that role was because they were fulfilling their purpose in it.
That's right.
What we have to do is recognize that purpose is mobile.
Right. Absolutely.
So if you change seats on the bus, you have the same purpose.
And do you know how dangerous it is to wrap in one's purpose because they've reached a certain level, a certain job position, a promotion, even athletes? It's almost like, okay, you're at the top, but what happens when you're dropped?
Man, oh my gosh, that was a mic drop moment right there.
I'm about to drop it.
Like, I'm at the top.
I'm about to drop it.
Now I'm dropped.
Oof.
Yeah.
Do you know how much pain comes with not understanding purpose at the position that you've been given?
Yes. Man, and you know, that's the saddest because we've even coached athletes like this.
Absolutely.
We communicate today with athletes like this.
Absolutely.
And athletes reach out to us genuinely like this.
Yes.
And I'll never forget, I sat down with a professional athlete, signed a contract with Nike, had been running for years. He's now, I think he's in his 30s, and he's like, Coach, I want to meet with you. So we sat down, we're discussing, and he's looking at me, even though I remember this guy when he was in his teens and his 20s and his prime.
Yeah.
And now he's been dropped from the major shoe company after his whole career in track and field.
Okay.
And I'll never forget trying to help him understand, son, you have a platform now, but you need to be investing what you do have into that, because the position itself was just meant to propel who you are forward. And unfortunately, when people lose sight of that, when that circumstance is over, they're stuck with, what do I do now?
Come on.
And it's not a matter of what do I do now? And I hate to say it, but it's always been, what should I have always been doing?
Wow.
What should I have always been doing with the platform I have? Because there's another athlete we met, big name athlete, that we talked to. We actually were talking to him in the gym, and he has a book deal coming out. He's trying to figure out tours. He's becoming an online influencer because he used his money to start putting himself in propulsive position, like we discuss in our book.
Easier said than done when you're not an Olympian.
True.
Easier said than done when you don't have the hopes for a contract, the works in a contract. And I want to speak to those individuals who have the dream to do something bigger. I want you to understand that when you have a dream, just like I had a dream in the 3rd grade, I envisioned it early. I didn't wait for someone to box me in and kind of establish what my niche is. I created vision for my life because I said, I have so many talents. And I knew that as a child. I was playing around with,
I still hear those stories.
literally as a performer. Like I was playing around as a kid, acting like I was on a stage speaking to people, acting like I was a dancer, acting like I was a singer. I have done all those things.
And still do.
And I remember there's a couple of ways I want to go with this, but I want to say first, as a child, dream. If you do have children, allow them to dream.
And
Don't box them in.
Encourage them to dream.
If you see their talents, their skills, their abilities, affirm them. Even if you didn't receive that affirmation from your parents, affirm who they are early.
Yeah.
Then as they grow up, they have the decision and what they want to do in life. However, what we've noticed in our clients is that when we go all the way back to the root of who they are,
always take it
what
back.
they became, there's something that died in them.
Yes. Or still is buried.
Exactly. And it died. What died in them is they stopped dreaming after their initial dream as a child. Another one, they felt like they weren't good enough because someone told them. And we always say, who told you?
Yeah, who told you that?
Who told you that? What is the voice that you're honestly listening to today? Let's even fast forward as an adult. What are you listening to? Number one, whose voice are you recalling on a daily basis of you can or you can't do something? And number three, when you reach a certain level or position in life, don't hold it tightly.
Yes, hold all things
loosely. My best friend and sister, Elizabeth, she always helps me to understand, Yvana, it may come and go, whatever position, whatever promotion, even money comes and goes. It's fleeting, but who you are is supposed to exist forever.
That's right.
Forever.
And that's the essence of existing.
Absolutely. And when you bring up athletes, it's very difficult to have the mindset. And it does come down to lack of coaching.
Yeah.
Because in athletics, you are coached to perform well.
And
you are coached to exceed. You are coached to be the best. There's the pressure of fans. Hey, we're going to drop you because you're not the best anymore. We're going to pick someone else on a team because they're better. However, it doesn't matter the positioning. What matters is in your heart, who are you?
Yeah.
And what is the purpose that is supposed to carry you through being dropped, being elevated, being celebrated, being hated, being canceled? What is your true purpose and what's your identity? And do not let someone else's voice box you in.
That's right. And that's a great statement. I appreciate that, man. You dropped the mic on that one, by the way. You were speaking to someone's heart. I know that for a fact. And to carry the conversation a little further, because you did bring up something right at the beginning of that, because you said it's very easy for the athlete.
Yes.
And I said to some degree it is true.
Right.
I agree with that. But I like to make sure that we don't leave our listeners who are literally leading businesses right now, or executives who want to lead businesses, or people who are working for other people in business.
Yes.
It is not as difficult for them as it may first appear.
Right.
That's why we opened up this segment talking about making the change.
Yes.
Because there has to be a shift.
Right.
It has to be a change in mindset.
A pivot.
What I would say for anyone who's listening, who says, okay, that's great. You have references for athletes. You have been talking about business leadership. I get that. But what do I do specifically?
Right.
And this is one of the easiest things I can tell you. Seek opportunities for advancement. Now, when I say that, everyone always assumes I'm talking promotion.
Right.
And they think
limited
when I
mindset.
say promotion, they think it's another position.
No.
But when I say seek opportunities for advancement, I'm literally talking about as in proactive, motion.
Right.
You are the person who can promote yourself in any form and capacity. Your company likely has a tuition-based program where you can trade service time for tuition or some form of scholarship. When have you sat down with the HR department and said, is there an opportunity for me to advance my education because I love working here, but I feel like I have a greater purpose I want to fulfill, but I want to be prepared for it?
Right.
That is what people aren't taking on the responsibility for.
That's true.
It's not a matter of whether you have time or not. It's a matter of whether you're willing to commit to do it, whether the time is there or not.
Right,
Meaning, people make time for what they want to do.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's the reality.
100%, yes.
When I want to do something, even if I don't have a minute, I will find a way to make that minute happen.
Yeah.
I will
Definitely.
stop the sun and moon if I had to.
That's
You
right.
understand?
That's right.
That's how we all are.
Yes.
Because we made the decision.
Mhm.
And other things, promotion. Some people are actually having trouble because they're not presenting who they are authentically where they are.
Mm.
So when people think about who the next person should be for this opportunity,
Right.
that person doesn't pop up top of mind because they haven't presented who they really are. They think that nose down, focus on the work, say nothing is getting the attention that they need.
Mm.
So that's another thing.
Right.
If you're really dedicating yourself to your purpose and
Right.
the vision of where your life should be and where you want it to be, then you should be putting action behind getting yourself there.
That's right. That's right. And in action, you also have to be very careful to stay in alignment
Yeah.
with areas that are going to promote you.
And that's exactly right. That's
Stay in
exactly right.
alignment. There are so many limiters.
Yeah.
There's so many distracting vices in this world.
That's right.
And
Vices,
honestly,
people.
you have to, that's why we talked about in the beginning, you have to dream first.
Yeah.
You have to envision first. And then your vision will run. It will take off with you.
Yeah.
So if you envision the promotion, what are you going to limit so that there are no distracting
Right.
factors
Right.
that can hinder your growth, your progress?
Yeah.
Because even for the college student athlete,
Mm.
even in college, they say, okay, get a better education.
Right.
Get an education.
Get an education.
What are you going to do
right.
with that?
Yeah. Okay. And
And
I'll
what?
tell you, and I'll even take that to another level. A lot
Mhm.
of people go to college.
Yes.
And I'll never forget, I had a niece that got a scholarship to a university.
Mhm.
And I told her how proud I was.
Yeah.
But I told her something that I learned early when I was seeking my own education. I said, don't you be
Mhm.
one of those people who go to school and don't learn a thing.
Mm.
I said, do not go up there to get a degree. You go up there and get an education.
That's right. That's right.
There's a difference.
That's right.
Because there are a lot of people with papers and they learn a daggum thing.
Right.
And then they get out into this
Absolutely.
world and
Oh.
they're still asking, what's my purpose?
Yes.
Because they didn't define it then and say, I'm going to educate myself on how to best express it.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yes, absolutely.
That is really, really
But you said
powerful.
something unique about alignment.
Yes.
And it's one of the things that I think is very important to say. In fact, a lot of people listening probably have heard of Zig Ziglar.
Yes.
And he's one of the greatest godfathers in the self-help world, motivational speaking, et cetera. And one of the things he talks about is kind of like the wheel of life.
Okay.
And he used the analogy of a car tire, right? Not the rubber portion, but the wheel.
Okay.
And you have the spokes.
Right.
And the expression is that sometimes in life, our biggest deterrent
Mhm.
to our life vision or purpose
Right.
is that one of the spokes is broken, damaged, cracked, shortened.
Okay.
Or in other words, we're giving too much time to some areas
Mhm.
and not enough time to other areas.
Okay.
And that's another thing that we need to address because that's the essence of making change.
Mm.
Sometimes what it means is that you have to be honest with yourself and say, I am giving way too much of myself to this, and I need to be investing a little bit more in this.
Right. Absolutely.
It may mean give
Boundaries.
and take and
Yep.
boundaries. It
Mhm.
may mean separating yourself from what you do.
Right.
You're not what you do, you're who you are.
That's right.
So many people can go to the job and they can put on the mask and they put on the show and they are very good at that. But inside their soul is crying.
Absolutely.
Or they're exhausted
Yeah.
because they're not resting and recovering well. Or
Right.
their families are suffering because their job is, I say in our book, and I remember you and I were talking about this, you gave me the inspiration to write that,
Mhm.
is how many people they'll look at their family and they don't recognize that the job was actually originally meant to serve its purpose, which was to help them provide for their family.
Mm.
But unfortunately, what happens is along the way, it flip-flops. And then our families, for whatever reason, we
Mhm.
hold them accountable for taking care of us so we can take care of our job.
Mm. Wow. That was a mouthful.
It's the truth.
Yes.
Because we have a misaligned purpose
Yes.
and we need to look at our wheel
Right.
and honestly say, this is not in balance.
Mm. I want to encourage people right now with something you can tangibly take away. If you had to look at your life and you had to define what in my life is taking from my fuel, what is costing me the most right now, and why am I drained? Assess that this week. Start taking inventory. And that's so interesting because a lot of people don't take inventory for
Of
themselves.
course.
they don't do a self-assessment.
Yes.
They like doing, Myers-Briggs. They like doing
Right.
these
You get this quick
fun,
hit of like a high
come on.
of information that you'll never use.
That's right. Stop doing the quick things and start doing the real work.
Yeah.
Start with self-discovery. Start understanding. That's how we start with our
Yes.
clients as well. So taking away, number one, look at yourself in the mirror and start asking yourself, what is it that I'm supposed to do? And what is limiting my life? What is draining my energy? What is costing me?
Yeah.
Everything. Start with that first.
Yeah.
I think that's powerful because I do it for myself.
Yes. And these are things, and I think that's one of the things that you're going to get away or take away from us is we're literally presenting things to you that we practice on a daily. It's not about perfection. It's about practice.
That's right.
And we're very committed to practicing these things. And we found success not only in our life, but in our clients' lives. And you said something just now, though, about that practice. Another practice that we always like to help people understand is making a change. And the word that we like and we love, it's a scriptural word, but honestly, just let us unpack it for a little bit with you, if you will give us patience, is repentance. Because repentance literally just means that we take ourselves and see the truth, turn 180 and go in the direction that we need to go in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people hate this word because they always associate it with religion.
Right.
They associate it with what somebody else who was over them and
Right.
abused them with. That's not what we're discussing. We're
Right.
telling you that the most powerful word in your life that you need to really gravitate and grab hold of is the ability to change direction.
Yes.
That's all repentance means.
That's it.
It means that you have the power to make the change at will. In fact, a lot of what we talk about in our book, there's a relationship between athleticism and business. And these are actual business terms and athletic terms. Agility, being agile, being able to pivot. It's a strategy in business where one thing isn't going one way. It's completely all right. We can make a turn.
That's right.
And we can get better at making that turn on a dime. And the more you do this, you'll start to find that you're keeping yourself in a better propulsive position.
That's right.
Which will then help you move forward with your purpose, on purpose, toward your purpose, and give purpose to other people. Because that's in essence what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
So I think if we could kind of summarize that point, it would be take the time to say to yourself, I'm sorry. If you don't feel like you're doing what I'm not saying positionally, okay? Because again, you can find your purpose, keep the same job you're in, and then start inserting and injecting your purpose in it. But tell yourself that I apologize to you for not living your purpose earlier.
Right.
Because every day is the first day of the rest of your life.
100%.
So your brand new start is right now.
That's
it's
right.
not
That's
something
right.
you have to reach for. It's just a decision.
And you know how many people feel like because they didn't make the decision to stick with their purpose, their life is over?
Yeah, or I missed it.
Identity's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crisis. It's really a purpose crisis. And having those inner self-discovery works, having something that you do daily, a practice, challenging yourself to really look at your life and see those limiters and see the distractions and removing those are the things that are also going to redefine and reframe your mindset so that you're constantly thinking of lifelong purpose, not positional purpose.
Not positional purpose. Yep. I love that you said that. And it's funny because when we talk about that, you brought up early dreams. You talked a lot about position.
Yes.
We talked about athleticism. We talked about leadership. We talked about working in an entity or outside of an entity. But there are also people who are listening to us, whether they have the money or not, they don't have their purpose. Whether they're in position or not, they're lacking their purpose.
Yeah.
But there are also people who are saying, I don't know how to dream. Or I never had that experience where I felt like I was doing my purpose, or I felt like I was living my dream. But I would say something to them, and I want you to piggyback in any thought you have. But the thought hit me. Sometimes our dream has made itself known to us. Sometimes our purpose has introduced itself to us.
That's right.
But we weren't the people that it was looking for when it arrived. We were mistaken for someone else because at the time it made its appearance, we were someone else.
So that speaks to imposter syndrome. That speaks to a lot. Because if you're not authentically arriving in life, how can your purpose find you? Can we drop the mic one more time?
Some people have mastered the mask so well that they have deceived their purpose.
That's powerful.
And have literally been mistaken for someone else when the dream arrived.
Powerful.
Boy. Woo, Jesus. I'm sorry. Look, I'm not apologizing for saying Jesus. I'm just like, I'm sorry for getting all loud because I know these mics might be sensitive. But that one hit me.
That was it.
Because it's true.
It is so true.
Sometimes the thing that we were most created to do, most empowered to do, can't be done because the person it met is someone else. So it points back to what we said. Make that change.
Yes.
It is okay if you're hearing that and you're saying, dang, that's me. What we want to encourage you with and empower you to do is recognize is that if you're here, what we know about the scripture and what we know about our faith is that any calling, any purpose that is in and on your life is irrevocable.
Absolutely.
You can always fulfill it.
That's right.
The vehicle changes. So it's okay if it may not look like you envisioned it to.
Right.
What you need to be doing is putting more emphasis on the fact that you still can fulfill your purpose.
Absolutely. And coupled with that, give yourself grace.
Give
I don't know how many
yourself
podcasts I have to
We've said
continuously
this over
repeat
again.
this.
But that's going to be something that we all have to continue to practice.
100%. Give
yourself
grace.
Mm.
If you're alive, that means your time is not up.
It's not up. Come on, girl.
It's not up.
Always your time.
It's always your time.
Come on. I know
as long as you have the time.
As long as you have time, it is your time.
Come on. So reframe the mindset. Start doing the inner work.
Yes.
Really look at what your limiting beliefs are about yourself.
Yes.
And then begin to reframe your mindset.
Yep.
Reframe
by apologizing.
Start by apologizing to yourself.
Yep.
Give yourself the moment to grieve.
Yeah.
You know how many people, we're in a suck it up culture.
Yeah.
Suck it up, move on. It's worse over there. Yeah, it might be, but this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And I don't feel okay.
Yes.
But I'm going to give myself grace.
Yes.
I'm going to give myself a moment to be human. I have emotions. I'm upset. This situation, unfortunate series of events happen. I'm going to give myself grace. But what I'm going to do after I give myself grace is some action. I am going to figure out what is it that I still need to do that's burning on the inside of me?
That was so
What
real.
am I passionate about? What is it that is going to propel not only myself forward, not only my family forward, but my whole legacy forward?
Anyone I impact.
Come on.
That's amazing. So if we had to close it up and wrap it up with just 3 takeaways, I know we gave you a lot. Hopefully you took notes. If you were driving, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you pulled over to write down some things, but just press rewind. But what would you say, Coach, if we had to wrap it up? 3 points that we can end this discussion with.
Frame your mind.
Okay.
Understanding what your purpose is. Why am I here?
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yep.
Be ready.
In season
and out of season. There's a scriptural reference in 2 Timothy 4 verse 2. Be ready in and out of season. It sounds so simple, but you know how many people are not ready? You know how many people can't even pack a bag? Be ready. Equip yourself, empower yourself with readiness, with an understanding of this is what I have to do. This is what I must do. This is how long it's going to take me to get there. Be realistic, set realistic goals and go for it.
Yes.
You're still alive. That means there's still time.
I have to say this, and that's a great point. I just want to add really quickly. With the fact that you have time, what we also have to remember is just because a time has passed doesn't mean all time has passed.
Absolutely.
That's what we're saying.
That's right.
So for some of you who says, they think, oh, well, I thought I wanted to be a singer.
Okay.
Well, first of all, you can still go sing.
You have a voice?
You have a voice, go sing, right? Go put yourself in position. It doesn't mean quit your job.
That's right.
It just means now you have funding to then allow yourself this outlet, and it may actually allow you to make impact. But the other thing is, if you are someone who's in leadership, let's say you have a company and your company doesn't have a purpose. Well, there's a few things you could do. Start a 501c3. Now, I'm not saying that is the only way, but what I am saying is that you can take what you know is on the inside of you and then ask, how can I align my corporate mission and vision with that purpose?
Beautiful.
How can I get my employees on board with this cause that we can actually support and then be champions of, not just with our checks, but with our whole community?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Beautifully said.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to make sure I stress that, because a lot of employers, a lot of businesses always think of the charitable giving and the social responsibility.
Right.
But if you are a CEO of your own business, or you're someone who's working for someone, maybe you can find something that everyone would be okay to really genuinely champion.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that.
And I think I want to leave a challenge. Can I do that?
Okay.
I think a challenge is necessary, because we always told you we're not going to just give you a bunch of principles. We're going to give you actionable things you can do.
That's right.
So on top of the two Coach mentioned, I would say stand in front of the mirror.
Yes.
Literally.
Mirror talk.
I want you to have, thank you, Coach, mirror talk.
Mm-hmm.
I do this with myself. I have clients do this. I literally practice this even when I'm doing affirming words for myself. But what I want you to do is get a timer. And it doesn't have to be long, because I understand you're learning how to make new habits. So just start with 5 minutes. And in the 5-minute increment, I want you to look yourself in the eyes, just like I'm looking right into the camera. For those of you who are listening, obviously you can't see this, but just imagine I'm looking you in your soul. And I want you to communicate with yourself first, I am sorry for whatever it was that I did to you, or I missed, or any opportunities that I knew we should have taken, but we didn't. It's okay, because I am still with you. And you're saying this to yourself because sometimes it's a challenge to recognize that you are always where you are.
That's right.
So the first person you need to communicate with and to give grace to, as my wife has clearly said, is yourself. Yeah. And I also want you, if you are in the comfortability factor to do this, some people I understand don't believe and don't agree. By all means, keep rocking with us, because we're going to always talk in a way you can take what you need. But if you believe in God, or if you're comfortable enough to even make this a step, apologize to God. Because he's gonna show you, if you're listening, that he's been bringing opportunities and bringing dreams and bringing people in your life all these years. They never stop coming.
Right.
But sometimes we weren't ready to take the step.
That's right.
And then the last thing is, I want you to affirm yourself and tell yourself that who you are today, and I mean, when I say this is going to shock your world if you really, really listen to what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
Tell yourself that who you are today may actually be the person you needed to be yesterday, but today you're prepared for the opportunity that's going to come your way. So you're saying to yourself, all that you've been through, all that you are, all the time you thought you lost was literally just preparation. Because sometimes the reason why we don't fulfill our purpose is because we keep looking behind us thinking it was something in the past.
Right. When
all of who we are was being developed for the purpose we can fulfill today.
Beautiful.
I said it.
You did it.
I got it all out. Oh, yeah.
You always do.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us on another episode. We hope you have fun. We know we dropped some gems. Coach, you were dropping those gems for real.
You too.
I mean, it's just shining all in the room right now, girl. But sincerely, like this, please.
Absolutely.
Share this.
Subscribe.
Please.
Yes.
Subscribe to this podcast.
Absolutely.
And don't be selfish with something that's pouring into you.
That's right.
If you have a leader that needs to hear this, if you have a mentee that needs to hear this, if your son or daughter or friend, coworker needs to understand this and it's helping you and you know how to help them, please just tell them about us. And don't forget to find our book anywhere books are sold, The Flight of Your Life.
That's right.
The Power of Propulsion.
That's
We're going to continue along this ride, and we're going to unpack a lot of these truths and principles, and we are so glad to have you. Anything you want to add before we go, love?
That's it.
All right. I'm Coach Charles.
I am Yvana. Here's our book, The Flight of Your Life, The Power of Propulsion. We're ready to help you take flight.